What's up, people? We're going to talk about the Charlotte Bobcats just now. The Bobcats, to me, I know a lot of people, when you ask them about it, they'll tell you they did some good things in the offseason, but the Bobcats, to me, are going to be the biggest surprise in the Eastern Conference this year. Because not only did they add Jay Rich, okay, but they added a guy who defensively, along with Gerald Wallace, can change the game for you. Those guys over there, Gerald Wallace and Jay Rich, can shut down the primary scoring options, or at least give trouble to the primary scoring option on most NBA teams. And then up front they have Emeka Okafor. Emeka Okafor is a beast down low defensively. He blocks a lot of shots, gets a lot of rebounds. All right, and at the point guard position there, Raymond Felton. You know, a lot of people remember him in college, and I haven't heard from him a lot. You haven't been paying attention in the NBA, but he's shown himself to be a good little point guard. He gets a lot of steals. Jay Rich gets a lot of steals. Gerald Wallace gets a lot of steals. They're going to be nasty defensively on the perimeter and with Emeka Okafor. Now, the question in their starting lineup is the center position. Breezic is going to get the starting nod to start the season. Breezic had chronic fatigue syndrome last year, had a pretty much forgettable season. But this guy, he has a little bit of talent. He's shown some flashes. I still think their best lineup has Breezic on the bench, Okafor at center, Wallace at power forward, Jay Rich at small, Matt Carroll at the shooting, and Felton at the point guard. Now, their injuries in this offseason have hurt them. Sean May, you know, a lot of people haven't heard much from him. If you haven't been paying attention to the league, you don't know that Sean May, when he's gotten a chance to play, has put up some numbers. He's actually surprised some folks who didn't think he was big enough to be a power forward or a post player in the NBA. He's put up some decent numbers when he got a chance to play, but he's had some injury troubles, and they're going to miss him because they were kind of counting on him to come off the bench and even maybe move Emeka to the center position even more and have him play power forward. So that's going to hurt them. And then Adam Morrison. Now, I'm going to be careful with my words here. The Adam Morrison injury may indeed be a blessing in disguise for the Charlotte Bobcats. I believe they made a mistake in drafting Morrison. I know what Michael Jordan saw in him, but he is so dreadfully slow. You know, you have some slow players in the league, but they, you know, some of these guys at least know how to anticipate defensively so they can get steals, they can get in people's way. The game was so fast for him last year. I feel bad for him on the injury. I heard he worked real hard over the summer on his defensive liability, on being a defensive liability, or working on improving his defense. But you know, listen, there's potential there for him to slow the game down, and if the game slows down for him, then he can find ways to not be such a defensive hole with a good defensive team. And offensively, this guy, you know, he's a shooter. We all know he's a shooter, but he needs to be more of a scorer, and he needs to be even more consistent from the outside. He was okay last year. I think, you know, a lot of people were a little too critical of him last year. He was okay. He just didn't look like a guy who should have been drafted where he was drafted. And having him being injured opens the door for another perimeter player who is going to make even more noise this year than he did at the end of the season last year, and that's Walter Herman. Walter Herman, when he got a chance to play last year, showed that he's not shy. He's going to shoot the three. He's going to run up and down the court and try to score on you every single time. He showed a lot of ability. A lot of people don't know this guy yet. He played in Charlotte, and it wasn't until the end of the season primarily that he actually showed what he can do. But he's going to get more minutes this year because of the Sean May injury. But even because of Morrison's injury, he's going to see even more minutes, or more meaningful minutes at both forward spots. He's more power forward, you know, than small forward. But when you have Gerald Wallace on the floor, it gives you some versatility defensively. Now, with Matt Carroll, they brought back, and Derek Anderson comes off the bench. They have some good players coming off the bench on the perimeter as well as their starters. They are a nasty team. Matt Carroll showed himself to be an NBA player last year, somebody that you have to look for when he's out on the floor. Derek Anderson is still an NBA player. He's not a big-time NBA player, but he's still an NBA player. He can play defense, he can hit the three, he makes a smart play on offense. And these are the guys that you got coming off the bench for you. And then, like I said, you have this Walter Herman guy who's going to show the league who he is. Now, the problem with the Bobcats is they can't take any more injuries. They can't take any more. The Sean May and Adam Morrison has completely wiped away their depth on the back end of the bench, and improve their rotation. Like I said, the Morrison thing might be a little bit of a blessing in disguise, but in terms of the back end of their bench, their depth, it destroys them. If they have any injuries, they're going to struggle, and they're going to have a tough road ahead of them in a competitive Eastern Conference to get into the playoffs. But if they're able to stay healthy, I truly believe you're going to see a nasty season from Walter Herman. Okafor has been working on his post game. You hear that every summer, but I believe at this time, Okafor is going to be a better post player, a more efficient post player when he gets the ball in the post. He's not a guy that you can make an option, a viable, established post option for you. Not just yet. Maybe, hey, you may see improvement 2 or 3 levels coming into the season, but I don't think you have that. And then that's the second flaw for the Bobcats, the fact that their post play is they're not going to be able to establish anything in the post from their bigs. Breezic might be able to give you something, but I don't think you can establish anything with Breezic. What he gives you is gravy. Jay Rich can score a little bit in the post. Gerald Wallace hasn't really shown that ability, but we probably know he has the ability to do it. You hope so, with his athleticism and his quickness and his size. But they really don't have any post options, and that's going to hurt them. Having solid post play stabilizes your offense. Okay, when things are not going well from the perimeter, to have somebody who can dump it down to stabilizes things. It opens up opportunities for everyone else on the floor. It stabilizes the team. It gives you something to fall back on, and they don't have that. So if they're not hot from the perimeter, then they're going to be in trouble on some nights, and that's why they're going to lose, because their defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. If all those defenders are healthy and ready to go, they're going to keep them in a lot of games. The Bobcats, like I said, the back end of their bench is weak. The backups on the front line, in terms of the center position, they have some young players there, but I think you need veterans to back up your centers in this league. I don't like the young athletic forwards who really don't know how to play the game, but they can just run and jump. I don't like those guys early in their career. But the Bobcats, to me, are going to be one of the front runners for that 8th spot. I'm surprising a lot of people. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you're crazy. Jay Rich, if he can stay healthy, he is a dynamic offensive player. He can shoot for 3, he can rebound, he can pass, he can defend, and he's big. Gerald Wallace, you saw what he can do last year. He gets a boatload of steals. He blocks a couple shots. He needs to block more. His shot blocking went down a little bit last year. He blocks a lot of shots. He's getting better from the 3-point line, which a lot of people don't realize. He's getting better from the 3-point line. This guy is nasty. He's going to be nasty from the perimeter. I shouldn't say nasty, but he's going to be a viable option from the perimeter. And then you got Matt Carroll. Then you got Raymond Felton, who's a dangerous guard. And then this guy Walter Herman, who's going to surprise the world when he gets a chance to play. And then you have Emeka Okafor in the post. That team, I truly believe they're going to be a front runner for the 8th spot in the playoffs. And a lot of people are going to be surprised that this team is going to make the noise that they're going to make. And another key reserve, let's not forget, Jeff McGinnis. Jeff McGinnis, a lot of people, have a lot of bad things to say about McGinnis. Granted, he's shown himself to be a malcontent sometimes, but he is still a guy. When you give him an opportunity, he can put the ball in the basket, and he can be an efficient player at the point guard position, and he can even move over to the 2 sometimes and do some damage, which gives you even more flexibility with that team that, like I said, the back end of their bench is kind of weak. So look out for the Bobcats. They're going to make some noise this year. I'm on the bandwagon. I'm on the Walter Herman bandwagon for sure. Bobcats fans might have a good season ahead of them.